So the house behind me is the Jason Lee house. We call it that. It's probably more aptly called the Jason Lee apartment building. When Jason Lee first established his site, it was about 13 miles north of here, what is now Willamette Mission State Park. They soon realized that that was not a really prime location to be. It flooded a lot. They had a lot of malaria and insects and rats, so they decided they'd move quarters, and they selected this site here in Salem. And it's actually not here, but about north of here, about a mile on the banks of Milk Creek. They established a sawmill and a grist mill, and with those great technologies, we're able to build houses, frame houses like the one in the back. So this house was actually built in 1841. It's frame construction. It's the oldest house still standing in the Pacific Northwest. There were older frame structures up at Vancouver, but all of those are now reproductions and fallen down since then. So the Jason Lee apartment building held 4 different families. Jason Lee's apartment would have been on the left side, and he would have lived there with his second wife. And his daughter, the daughter that actually survived him, actually was born in that room. And then the Parrish family, the Raymond family, and the Judson family would have lived all in separate living quarters, but together in one house. So you can come see it today. It's a museum today. You can come visit. We also have the second building that was built by the mission, the parsonage, which was used to house the people that were working in this school at the time. There was a third structure that was built in that mission site, and it was the school, but that burned down in 1872. Go, sorry.
Yeah. What building is that? Is that the Presbyterian church?
It's a Presbyterian church, yeah. So the site here is actually the old Thomas K. Woolen mill, and when the mill was closing, there was quite a bit of, before the mill closed, there was quite a bit of community support to save these buildings. These buildings had turned into private residences after the mission closed. They were sold off. Most of them turned back into apartment buildings, and were not really well kept up. And so there was a big community upswell to preserve these buildings, being the oldest ones in the area. And the original plan was to send them to the fairgrounds and put them on display in the great fairgrounds area. The money was never raised for that. So the mill owner said, you know, I've got this extra room out in the back. You can bring them here. You can tarp them up, leave them here until you're ready to fund your projects. And in the meantime, the mill closed down, and they decided to create a historical park here. So both of these houses have been moved to this site from other places, and have been preserved here. So the church up on the hill is actually a Presbyterian church. The same thing was happening. It's out of the Almsville area. It was going to be torn down, and so they said, well, we got space. So in the 80s it was moved here, and then the house behind you here is the John D. Boone house, which John D. Boone was an Oregon Trail immigrant, came in and was influential in the early state, territorial and state governments. So his little house is here as well.
That's great.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.